Welcome to my cloud gaming presentation. This presentation will be on the different cloud gaming services and companion. So the reason for this presentation is to learn about 8 different cloud gaming services that are out there and going to compare them and see which ones have better stats or better and like amount of games you can play or the price you have to pay and just compare each one. Alright, so first up is PlayStation Now. And PlayStation Now is a monthly or yearly based service where you could pay like $100 a year, and that would give you access to over 750 PlayStation 2, 3, and 4 games. Uh, Unfortunately, the streams only go up to 72p instead of the standard 1080p, but you do get the 60 frames per second. And like I said, it's $100 a year, so it's a fairly reasonable price. Except for if you want to play any network game, you will still need to get a PlayStation Plus membership. So that's a $200 a year for any online game you want to play from this subscription, which isn't the worst price. There are some services that are more, and yeah, you only need 500 megabyte speeds per internet, which is a nice plus. It's not too demanding on the internet. The second one is also PlayStation. It's a remote play service, and this is a free service to use. And you use your library of PlayStation 4 games, so you don't get any new games. But what remote play does is it allows you to play your games on like a computer screen or a TV. You don't need to connect. You don't need your PlayStation in the room with you to connect to and play your games. It does need a lot stronger internet, and what I find from use is it's really hard to keep the connection going for like more than 10 minutes before the stream just you lose connection, you have to retry. You do get 1080p but with 60 FPS, so the quality's a bit better, but it's a lot more demanding, so you're probably not going to get used to that great quality. And it's not a bad choice if you absolutely can't get to your PlayStation. Next is GeForce Now, and this is like the PlayStation Now of PCs where you get 500 plus games. For a library, the service is either free or paid. The free service is you get 1 hour of stream time, and after that you have to re-queue, and queuing can take a bit of time. Or pay is you get 4 hours, and you get priority in the queues, so you get more play time. I mean, membership's only like $10, so it's not even that bad for monthly. It's a bit more than the PlayStation Now. You do need 25 megabytes per second for the internet connection as a recommended network. But you do get the 1080 and 60, which is common for most streaming services. And now the Xbox app is it's like the PlayStation's Remote Play, where you get the games for you get to play your Xbox games, and you can stream it to your phone, to your PC, TV. It's for when you can't get to your Xbox, just like PlayStation Remote Play. You do also get 1080p and 60 FPS, and it just makes Xbox more portable. So Parsec streams 60 FPS and it streams low latency games. It uses your PC library and it's an hourly paid service, which is my biggest issue with it because paying hourly gets really expensive after 8 hours a week. It would make more sense to buy the games itself on a good PC. It does need 30 megabytes per second, so internet's not great. And I just think it's great if you want to test out a game you bought for an hour, and if you don't like the game, you could refund it and get a new game. Parsec's just not one for a gamer that plays a lot. And next is PlayQ. This is a Russian-based streaming service. It gives you 1080p, 60 FPS. It has a different type of pay method, which is a little more pay for how many hours you want, which gets pretty expensive. Because if you want 70, it's $35. It's a lot more expensive than PlayStation Now or GeForce Now, where you get limited hours. You get like 2 or 3 months of this, or a whole year of PlayStation Plus. Or if you only have a PC, 2 or 3 months of this, or a whole year of GeForce paid. And the big issue is if you're in America, all the servers, American servers, are in Europe, so it doesn't really help you with connecting any for the stream. Vortex is a smaller 89 game library. It's $10 per month, so it's a 120 a year. It's not the worst. It's the same as GeForce Now. The big issue I found is some of the games actually need to be bought to play them, even though the main reason for streaming a game is so you don't have to buy every single game in the library. You can play the games you want for a cheaper price. You do only need 10 megabytes per second, so that's a nice plus. It's also 1080p, because that's the standard. And the last one is Jump, and this is 100 plus indie games, which is different because not and none of these are just indie games. You're going to get with you a lot more games you haven't got on any other service. Only $5 a month. You do need a decent PC to play some of the games, because it does run it from your server or from your PC and not the server, so it's going to be a bit more taxing. Again, you get 1080p and 60 FPS, 5 megabytes per second. It's a good service for trying out some indie. And now for the comparison, what I did for the comparison is there's this chart. There's all 8 services on 3 slides, and what I compared is the price, the internet requirement, how many games you got in the library, the frames you get from it. Just did one pro, one con of each, like the big plus and the big negative from each, and for max display. So as you can see, PlayStation's only 100 yearly. You need low internet. It's lower than the two next ones. You got a bunch of games, 60 FPS, which is great, but you do need to be online. And as you can see, PlayStation has the lowest or the lowest display out of the rest of them. Every other one's 1080 or above. And like same, most of these are paid. There's a few free. And with GameLies is a mix of your own library, brand new games. This just sums up everything I talked about before, and compare. It's easier to compare when it's all on one graph or one chart. So what I would say each service is best for. PlayStation is best for any hardcore gamers. Anybody who plays a lot and has a PS4, it's for most hardcore PlayStation gamers. You play a lot, you'll get a ton of games. $200 a year for the online isn't even that much if you're going to put a ton of hours into it. So that's really good for if you're going to put a lot of time into it. Or if you play a lot of single player games, it's only $100 uh, to play all the games you could ever want. And with PlayStation Remote Play, it's best for when you really can't get to the PlayStation and you really want to play. So like every once in a while you can't get to a TV or your PlayStation Play. This will allow you to play from your PC, which is an alternative, not the best, but it will do. And GeForce Now, I feel like it's like PlayStation Now. It's for most hardcore um, PC gamers who want to play a ton of games, play for a long time, will make good use of the $10. Even and if they don't mind waiting 4 hours or waiting a queue every 4 hours, it works perfectly. The Xbox app is Xbox's remote play, so again, it's for when you can't get to the Xbox. It's good for when you can't just play it on your PC, your phone. And Parsecs is for trying out games you don't know if you want, or you don't have, you could buy it on, let's say, Steam, try it out. If you don't like it, you can refund it within the first hour. I mean, you're not really spending much on Parsec, and you can get a game you would actually put more time into. Vortex or PlayKey, I recommend it if you're in Europe, because the Europe servers are, all the servers are in Europe. It's good for if you're in Russia and you're in Europe, or you can make use of our servers. But if you can get the other ones, this much is a bit more expensive to stream your libraries. But if it's the only option, it will do a trick. Fine in Europe. Vortex, it doesn't do anything necessarily wrong. It's not bad in any way. It's just, it's competing with GeForce, has a lot more games. Same price, so it's like, do I want 89 games for 10 bucks or 500 games for 10 bucks? Vortex would be worth it if most of the games, or over half the games on Vortex, aren't on GeForce or any other service, because then you're at least getting new games. Because there's not much point in paying 10 games, $10 for 89 games, when you can get most of those games for the same price plus like 400 more games. And lastly, Jump's perfect if you want to just try out some indie games. You want to find a lot of games you probably never heard of or played. There's going to be a ton of indie games on the streaming service of Jump for you to play. And my final thoughts are every service is good in its own way. Some are, in my opinion, better than others. For better, they could be better in just general. Most of the time, we're better for like certain aspects. Like PlayStation's better for the PlayStation, obviously. I mean, even Vortex, it's good. It does everything. The deal's good. 89 games for 10 bucks. That's a great deal. It's just outmatched by GeForce. I guess the only plus is you don't have to wait in a queue every 4 hours. But yeah, overall, every system has its plus, has a pro and con to, and has some use that I would say is worth it for. Thank you for listening to my presentation.